What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on FantasyPros with a 12-team full PPR mock where we will be selecting from the third overall position. Should be pretty interesting. Our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots as usual. Our positional values, we've adjusted a little bit to kind of make this a little bit more realistic with the quarterback at slightly low and running backs at high. But that's pretty much it. So let's kick it off. And while we wait, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comments section. Your thoughts along with any other questions you guys might have. I will do my best to answer them all. And lastly, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. It has everything you can want at a great value. Top 150 overall player rankings in standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, tiers, projections, along with general fantasy advice. All the details in the description. But with that being said, let's get into it. The first 2 picks have been made. A little bit of a surprise here, I would say. Not at number 1 with Jonathan Taylor, but at number 2, Austin Eckler being selected ahead of Christian McCaffrey. I know a lot of people have, kind of slid McCaffrey down their boards because of these last 2 years and the injury history. But in my opinion, look, here at 103, I think he's a steal. I was expecting to kick this thing off with Austin Eckler being our selection. Not going to work out that way, but to me here, Christian McCaffrey would be the top choice. I have him as my number 1 overall guy in full PPR scoring. If you draft him, if you're nervous about the possible injury, make sure to get depth at the running back position. We are usually pretty good about that, so I'm not too worried about this. Now, I do want to say here, other guys that I would have been considering if Christian McCaffrey wasn't there. I mean, look, Christian McCaffrey is ranked as the number 1 overall player, even ahead of Jonathan Taylor, worth mentioning. Was somebody like Alvin Kamara. I've said this before. I've tried to highlight his name in previous mocks recently that I've done because he's not going to be suspended this season, which means he should be in consideration for a top 5 player, right along Dalvin Cook, right along Derrick Henry. I would be drafting him ahead of the top 2 wide receivers in Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp. You see Jefferson ahead of Kupp here, probably because of the worries about the elbow for Matthew Stafford, so that makes sense. But look, we don't have to worry about that. We can just go running back. And I'm going to waste no more time because I think it's pretty easy here just to go with Christian McCaffrey and then figure out the rest afterwards. So let's see what happens here in this mock so far. After we went Christian McCaffrey, I think, again, that was a very, very good value pick. You see Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, makes a lot of sense. Justin Jefferson, Najee, Joe Mixon, no issues yet. Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, DeAndre Swift, Stephon Diggs. Honestly, I think this is a very, very realistic first round. Then we get to the second round. Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb. That would be the first kind of red flag that I have so far. I wouldn't be drafting Nick Chubb ahead of really any of these running backs that we see afterwards. Kamara, Barkley, Aaron Jones, or Leonard Fournette. Travis Kelce goes to 203. I'm not the biggest fan of taking really any of these tight ends early in the second round, but it's going to happen. I understand it, so nothing too crazy there either. Then CeeDee Lamb, and then that slew of running backs that we mentioned, Kamara, Barkley, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette, and then the other kind of red flag, Josh Allen goes at the 208. Again, you're probably going to see this happen, but it's a situation where it's not going to happen all that often. And I would say veteran, savvy fantasy football players understand that you do not select a quarterback early because that means passing up on studs at the running back and wide receiver position instead. Hell, even a tight end if there's somebody at that point in time. So let's see what we have left to work with here. Let's look at our cheat sheet. Right now at wide receiver, I'm looking at, Tyreek, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Javonte, James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott. So I'd probably go with Zeke here, and then, we can switch it up and go with a high upside guy and maybe Javonte Williams. I still think he's being overvalued. We'll see what happens with, that backfield. Personally, I'd much rather go Ezekiel Elliott here and then actually first go Mark Andrews, at least get somewhat of a positional advantage, I guess. I said I wouldn't draft a tight end early in the second. This is towards the end of the second round, so a little bit of a difference. And I do think you could argue the best value at this point in time. So then I'm going to try and do this and then land Ezekiel Elliott in the next round. We get lucky. We have that option available to us. Let's quickly see what happened in between there. Javonte Williams, Mike Evans, Tyreek, and Debo. So a run on pass catchers. Not the biggest Debo fan without Jimmy Garoppolo. Not the biggest Trey Lance believer. I've said that on multiple occasions, so shouldn't be a shock there for you guys. But I'm going running back here. I already have Christian McCaffrey. I want to get another running back, and Ezekiel Elliott to me is a steal in the 3rd round. Now let's see what we have available to us here in the 4th round. Let's bring up our roster because up until now I didn't have it shown. Christian McCaffrey, Zeke, and Mark Andrews. Looking at the draft board, you see after our Zeke selection, T. Higgins, Dave Montgomery, Kyle Pitts, Pittman, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown, James Conner, Justin Herbert, Cam Akers at 312, followed by Travis Etienne. I like the Etienne pick. I don't like the Akers pick. Terry McLaurin, Patrick Mahomes, Breece Hall. So we've had 3 quarterbacks go off the board, Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. George Kittle goes with the 405. DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson. So now we can kind of turn our attention to the wide receiver position. I don't love any of these running backs at this point in time. Right now the running back that I would want to take a chance on is probably Rashad Penny, honestly. So I'm perfectly fine waiting. And with that being said, I'm going to just select the highest ranked wide receiver left available. Jalen Waddle, then hope that Allen Robinson can make it back to us in the next round to kind of grab a wide receiver that I really like. We get lucky again, so we're going to land Allen Robinson and Jalen Waddle. All things considered, a pretty good combo, pretty good situation for us after we went Mark Andrews early. So pretty happy about that. Now, again, let's see what happened in these next couple of rounds. So in between our Waddle and Allen Robinson picks, you saw Mike Williams, Brendan Cooks, A.J. Dillon, Marquise Brown. Then afterwards, in the 5th and 6th rounds, Michael Thomas, Antonio Gibson, Jalen Hurts. I have no idea how Jalen Hurts goes above Lamar and Kyler Murray. That doesn't make sense to me. He's a lower quality passer than Lamar and Murray, in my opinion. Darnell Mooney, then Chris Godwin, then Chase Edmonds. A little bit early for Chase Edmonds. I'm not the biggest. I know there's a lot of believers in Chase Edmonds there in PPR formats, but I just think it's such a crowded backfield that I'd rather just avoid it for the Miami Dolphins in fantasy purposes. You see Jerry Jeudy, J.K. Dobbins, Amon-Ra, Darren Waller, Hopkins, Josh Jacobs, Lamar, Amari Cooper. Again, with Amari Cooper here and the Deshaun Watson suspension going up to 11 games, I'd probably have him almost as a do-not draft guy. Then you see Kyler Murray, Elijah Mitchell, Dallas Goedert, and Dalton Schultz. Now, we are here at the end of the 6th round. We have a lot of good options at wide receiver. I really like Rashad. I really like Juju. At running back, nothing too crazy. Again, I want to probably, Kareem Hunt's kind of tempting, but I'd rather wait for Rashad. So I'm just going to get depth at the wide receiver position. I'm going to go with Juju. I have him higher than Rashad Bateman. And we do get lucky that Rashad Bateman also falls to us. So that was honestly best of both worlds. That we got Juju and Rashad Bateman is going to fall to us. The question is, do we wait for Rashad Penny? I mean, I don't think we're going to land him if we do. Or do we snag him now? I'd probably, at this point in time, let's see, what round is it? It is the 7th round. I think it might be a little bit early for him. Other running backs, though, I don't love it, and I need depth. You know what? I might go Kareem Hunt first as kind of that PPR guy. He's a safety valve. I'm going to go with him and then see what happens at the running back position afterwards. I know I passed up on Rashad Bateman, but, kind of looking at it, I decided to go running back, and I think Kareem Hunt might have longer season appeal than a Rashad Penny, especially when Ken Walker comes back. Now, if the extent of that injury is serious, then obviously it's a different situation. Now, though, we have another guy here that I really like in Allen Lazard that is still available at the wide receiver position. So I'm happy about that. We can do, I think 8th round selection, get a pretty decent value pick. Quarterbacks, we've still got Stafford, Derek Carr, so I'm fine with that. Let's go with Allen Lazard first and then see what we have to work with in the next round. So right now, we still need a quarterback on our starting roster, but the way this kind of mock draft goes, it's a situation where We know the majority of quarterbacks have been selected, so every team other than us pretty much has one. So we're going to be able to get our choice at the end of this draft. So basically, translation, go running back here, go other positions. So right now, where do we go with? I got Kareem Hunt a little bit beforehand. I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon, a high upside guy, in case something happens to Javonte Williams. And then ideally, if we can get a Naheem Hines in the next round, but I'm guessing he's going to be selected. Yeah, in fact, he was selected just a couple of picks after our Melvin Gordon selection. It's all right. We can treat other areas here with some priority. So, look, right now, I'm looking again at wide receivers. I don't mind Tyler Boyd at this point in time. Kadarius Toney maybe. Let's at least just get one quarterback to, have that taken care of. I'll go with Matthew Stafford. I'm not as worried about the elbow as some other people are. I think if that was the case, and the Rams also felt that way, that, there'd be a lot more urgency in the building. So I think, again, basically you're getting a really good value on Matthew Stafford for 2 years in a row. And if it's a situation like that, we can again get another late round quarterback with our last selection. So right now, looking at this, I don't really love any of the running backs that are left. I'm looking at the wide receivers. There is, Kadarius Toney still available. I'm kind of probably leaning that way. George Pickens is also an interesting guy for this, probably going to be the Steelers' number 2, but I'll probably lean Kadarius Toney here. And you got Sterling Shepard coming off a major injury. You've got Kenny Golladay just disappointing. And Kadarius Toney kind of being like the next guy up. So let's go with Toney here. And then we're going to wrap this up by getting a backup quarterback in case something happens to Matthew Stafford. So our backup is going to be another guy that I really like. That is Derek Carr. And now let's see our final draft grade. Oh, we actually get an A. So we got Christian McCaffrey. I do think that helped us out a lot with the 3rd pick overall. Then we got Zeke in the 3rd round. In the 2nd round, we got Mark Andrews. So we get that positional advantage. And then we didn't panic. At wide receiver, I think we got very lucky. We got Jalen Waddle, Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Alan Lazard. So I really like those 4 wide receivers. I think they can all be starters. And in the wide receiver 2 category, we got some depth at running back with Kareem Hunt, added Melvin Gordon as a potential piece. So I do know that there's drop-off after McCaffrey and Zeke, but if both those guys stay healthy, honestly, I think we're perfectly fine at their running back position. Personally, I always like to have a little bit more depth. There's a big drop-off between Zeke and Kareem Hunt. That's the only thing that I don't like, and where I would give this draft probably not as high of a grade, probably in the B or B plus category. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, along with any other questions you guys might have. I'll do my best to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. All the details in the description. In the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.